Record progress.
One click and it is on. Awesome. Okay, cool. What's up, y'all? Again, thank you very much for coming out. This is DSM Web Geeks. Um, we, of course, are a user group that meets every month to talk about new trends and techniques within software development. We have many formats, presentations or like a coding style, kind of like hackathon, or even just QA sessions, all kinds of stuff that we do month to month, always ever changing. If any of you are interested in ever putting on a talk, please let me know, and we can try to craft something, an event around that. We want to do a short one, just kind of cut your teeth on what it's like to get up in public speak. I'm down to help you on that too. Um, if you are interested in giving a talk, you can do that. Submit a talk at Sessionize or on our website, DSM webgeeks.com. This will be recorded, just so you know, and you can watch it for the next. It's streaming right now and will be available for the next 2 weeks on twitch.com/DSM Web Geeks. And then after that, I will eventually upload it to YouTube, where you can always watch it. But there's a little bit of a delay there, mostly just with my laziness in actually getting it uploaded. I don't have that yet automated. Yeah, so that's a bit about Web Geeks. I don't know, Ben, do you want to throw anything out there for like space and just the normal stuff, or if you want me to, I can. It's up to you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben. I'm a recruiter here at Source, and we're happy to host Des Moines Web Geeks. We host SciJug and Piowa and DevOps Des Moines as well every month. So check us out, come on over and hang out with some tech community folks. Pizza's obviously over there. If you haven't heard, drinks are back there in that room. Grab anything you like. Restrooms are up there and to the right. And there's your Wi-Fi password if you need it at Source Allies Guest. We're a development consultancy here at Source. We help client teams when they lack expertise to solve something particular. We'll come out, help them out, be successful. If you want to learn more, let me know. But glad you're here. And yeah, enjoy the presentation.
So thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it over to you, Mackenzie. You got to talk into this thing, and I don't know if you want to hold it. It's also like clips.
Does that do a good job right now?
If I hold it down here and maybe talk loud, maybe it's working right now. I have no idea. There you go.
How close do I have to have it? Is this okay? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Hello. Hello. Okay. So maybe closer.
Yeah, and you can put it on your shirt.
Okay. That's nerve-wracking. Hello. Today I'm Mackenzie, and today I'm going to give a talk on common knowledge and why teams break down when the information isn't shared. I will start by saying that I am terrible at common knowledge from time to time. I had some miscommunications this weekend with my partner. I had miscommunications at work this morning. I am constantly having a lot of conversations, so that's known to happen. So I would appreciate any feedback from all of you as well. But hopefully you leave this talk with some ideas, and either from me or from other members of the audience, so that we can be a little bit better about communication with our teams and our families, relationships, all of it. So to further dig on who I am not is I'm not a psychologist or a researcher. I'm not an engineer, and by no means a communication expert. But like I said, I am having a million conversations every day. I'm a mom and a stepmom. I am a partner as well, and we all co-parent with other parents. So there's a million complicated conversations happening all the time. I'm a friend, I'm a manager, a coworker, which brings its own set of interesting conversations for sure when you're managing employees and a team. And then I'm a mentee and a mentor. I learn a lot from the people that I mentor and that mentor me as well. And I'm a work in progress. So every conversation that I'm having, I'm hoping that I can learn something from. I also learned a lot putting together this presentation, frankly, a lot of things that we can do at Shift to better our communication processes as well. So I'm also very interested in this. Why I put this presentation together is I'm very interested in this idea of common knowledge. I listened to Steven Pinker on a podcast, Dax Shepard, I know you're not a fan, but on Armchair Expert, if you are a fan. And he, Steven was super interesting in terms of how he thinks about common knowledge. And then I read his book, and that's where this presentation came from. So I'm going to start with a quick poll. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to go through and have you raise your hand as I do this. But how often do you think your team is truly on the same page? So 1 is going to be never on the same page, 5 always on the same page. So I'll start with 5. How often do you think your team is truly on the same page? Is it all the time? Raise your hand if you think that. Is it most of the time? That's good. Somewhat of the time? Rarely? You're a team of 1. Uh, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yeah, that's on us actually. And never. Nope. Okay. And then follow-up question. Same scale. How confident are you that your teammates would give the same answer if they were in this room together? 1 is they wouldn't, they would never give the same answer, and 5 would be they would always give the same answer. So 5, you think your team would always give the same answer as you would from the last question. 4, most of the time, give the same answer. 3, somewhat. 2, rarely. And 1, never. Okay. So for the most part, there's a gap there in terms of what we need to actually get on the same page as a team. We're not always on the same page, and there could be some improvement there that's being made. So that's what we're here today to talk about. Okay, so common knowledge. Common knowledge is something that everyone knows. The information is out there. Everyone knows it. But the additional piece is that you know that everyone knows it. So you know that they understand it the same way that you're understanding it. So an example of common knowledge tonight would be Web Geeks has a presentation tonight. You all found your way here. You knew where to go. We all got here. So this group is sharing that common knowledge of knowing that the presentation was tonight at 6:30. You showed up. What common knowledge is not is just sharing the info. That's not common knowledge. We don't know if the other person understood it as you intended. A Slack message to your team, that's not common knowledge. That doesn't mean that you're aligned. Documentation doesn't necessarily mean there's a shared understanding. Again, everyone can understand that differently. So an example of this is if I send a Slack message to a group of individuals, to like a group channel, I know that I sent it. I don't know who has read it. I don't know if they understood it the same way. That's not common knowledge. If I were to hop on a Zoom call with the same group of individuals later that day and ensure, hey, did you see my Slack message? This is what I said. I'll repeat it again. Did you understand it that way? Can you say that you understood it that way? Can I say what I was meaning again to ensure that we're all on the same page? Also, I'm going to say same page and knowledge and common and communication a lot during this presentation, so I apologize in advance. Okay, so what Steven Pinker brings in addition to this is that coordination requires certainty about your shared understanding. So it's not just it's not just getting the information out there, it's ensuring that all members of the team are understanding it the same way. And that's coordination. That's how you move a team forward. So with any project and any team, we all, if we want to believe it or not, bring our various backgrounds and baggage to that team. Maybe we've created apps that are similar to one we're creating today. We've worked for different companies. We have preconceived notions in terms of how a project should go and how that communication should be structured. So we all bring that baggage, and that in turn makes us understand things differently from person to person. So another thing is that people hesitate when they're unsure what others know. They don't want to spill the tea, so to speak. Let's say the project manager knows that the priority has changed. They don't know that if everyone else knows, so they withhold that information, and then that withholding that information ultimately kills momentum. It can lead to project delays and worse stalls and all of that if not everyone knows that information. It also can be super nerve-wracking to call out the elephant in the room at times, especially like depending on your role on the team. So you might know that you don't understand, but it's hard to admit, hey, I don't understand. I need to ask a follow-up question. Or, hey, this person's face seems like they don't understand. Do you have a question? Or you two are saying two different things. Let's make sure that we align. That's can be uncomfortable to say, but that alignment is key to continue to move the project forward. And it's not about knowing the information. Again, I'm a broken record. Alignment is an intelligence. It's not about being the smartest person in the room or knowing all the same information. It's having the same shared awareness of what is going on with the project. Another interesting insight that I just noticed I got a text, but it probably didn't pop up, hopefully, is around conventions. So some teams have team norms, and they might have these documented in a place that say, we always have stand up at this time. We always use GitHub for our repos. We always use Jira for our backlog. Whatever it is, having those team norms help immensely so that someone knows where to go. If they have a question, if they can't reach someone, you have these set in place. An example that Pinker uses that I really liked was around going to coffee with a friend. So let's say Justin Stevens and I are going to coffee. We both forget our phones at home. We haven't set a coffee location. We have to figure out where to go. So I know he usually goes to the Frederick's on 42nd. Let's say, kind of, yeah, okay. He knows where I live, and that's close to the Fredericks on 22nd. So I might think he's going to know that I go there. So he's not going to go to 42nd. He's going to go here. Or let's say we've met at Grounds before. Maybe he's going to go to Grounds. And so we don't have that pre-convention. Like we haven't already set that convention. So we're going to miss each other. We're going to have to go back home, get our phones, delay meeting for coffee, all of that. Okay, and then there's a concept of private knowledge versus common knowledge. So you see private knowledge commonly when someone is looking to gain power. They keep that information from others, and it allows them to stay in control. There's obviously a lot of examples that I won't, like big examples of that I will not use as part of this presentation. But in the project sphere, in teams and companies, there's a few areas, different types of private knowledge. So one is gatekeeping. That's someone who's been there a while. They hold all the cards for the project. They want to stay in control of the project. They want to stay at an elevated status, whatever it is. They don't want to share their knowledge, and that's a barrier to break down. Another one is institutional knowledge. So I would say larger and longer term companies have this a lot, where there might be a lot of knowledge in a few people's brains. It's not documented well. It's not shared with the rest of the team. And that is a barrier as well. And then there's obviously necessary private information or private knowledge that you don't want to share with the rest of the team. Like, there's going to be a leadership change and we need to get all of our ducks in the row before we're presenting that. Or there's acquisition that's going to happen. If that gets released, then the valuation of the company changes. Like, those are certain things that are meant to be kept private. But in the first two examples, figuring out ways to break down that gatekeeping, that institutional knowledge. Okay, and then just one quick stat. According to PMI, the Project Management Institute, poor communication is a primary factor in project failure in nearly 56% of cases, which, duh, like that obviously makes sense. There's miscommunications happening all the time when it comes to projects. But one key thing I just want to point out is that, because I'm really going to drive into all these ways that projects can fail, is that projects don't fail because of bad developers or bad team members. They fail because we weren't operating from the same reality. Okay. I'm going to go through a few more examples, and then I promise I will eventually get to ways to stop and create more common knowledge. But I'm going to really drive it home first. Okay, so one is hidden decisions. So let's say one developer is operating in a silo, not pairing with anyone. They're creating and thinking through their own decisions on an 8-hour day. And then they come back to the team and maybe it wasn't aligned with what the product owner wanted. We had an example of this at Shift where we didn't give all the information to an employee and they drew their own conclusions. So we had made the decision to not put someone on this project manager's team. And that's all we said was, this developer isn't going to your team anymore. And so what he thought was, oh, they got another job. They're probably quitting. Like, I have to scramble and whatever it was. But that was not the case. Instead, it was just we had another project that this project manager didn't know about coming in. It was something we couldn't talk about yet, but we could have still said, this project is, there is a project coming for this guy, and that's why he's not going to be on your team. So making sure that you give them, there's going to be times where you can't give them all the information, but giving them some information so they're not drawing their own conclusions. And then feature misalignment. I would say this is a big one that happens often. So I'll give the example of reports. So let's say a project team is going to build reports. What each person could hear, the product owner could hear, okay, it's going to be a simple dashboard. I'm going to be able to see where the users are going, what pages, their activity. That's it. The developer might see this as some basic reporting. So, okay, there's going to be a few different reports. I'm going to be able to export it via CSV, whatever, but it's still in the application. A leadership team, and maybe the leadership team is probably not in the day-to-day of the project. They might see it as, this is a Power BI dashboard. I'm pulling in the data from the application. I'm pulling in our ERP system data. I'm looking at the revenue, the ROI of this product from a holistic standpoint. So ensuring that, especially when people aren't in the same room, that you're getting to that alignment on features as you're going. Studies show that teams spend a significant portion of their time clarifying misunderstandings rather than moving work forward. If you're not aligned up front, that can take a ton of time later on, whether it's just communication time or rework time. So how we keep aligning, how do we align? I'm going to get to this in a bit, but diagrams, prototypes, shared documents, and then continuous updating, having these in the same spot so everyone knows where to go to see those updates and that decision tree as well. And then remote work. This is a big one for us at Shift. So in distributed teams, alignment issues can happen all the time because our communication is happening asynchronously, whether it's time zone issues or I had a kid appointment and I can only work at night, and so nobody's online and I'm making decisions on the fly. Communication is sporadic because of that. So having one place for all of that information, people know where to go when they have a question, having daily Zoom rooms to pair, to ask questions, to have a shared understanding, making sure that things are going in the group Slack versus side conversations so everyone can see those changes and decisions that are being made. And then not being afraid to ask that question that someone might be afraid to ask. So before I get into solutions, I'm going to really drive it home even more. And we're going to do a little exercise. We have just the right, we have an odd number of people. But I'm going to have you all pair up, groups of 2. There's going to be one group of 3. And the assignment is going to be describe and draw a house. And I forgot paper. Is there paper in this place? Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Justin. Yeah. The assignment is drawing a house. One person is directing, and the person that's directing cannot look at what the person is drawing. One person is drawing, and they cannot ask questions. And I don't want you drawing the square box with the chimney like we did in kindergarten. It has to be a more specific house, more unique. You all are probably not going to have the same house, like an A-frame or a mid-century or a trailer or camper, whatever you're thinking. And I'll give you like 10 minutes to go. So decide who's going to direct and who's going to draw.
The instructions.
Hello, hello. Okay. Okay. Now it's off?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Can I? Okay. I was like, I don't want to have to repeat everyone.
Yeah, how's this? There you go. And I'll just run it around.
Don't make me do this.
Yeah, so the like general outline was there, but it was like the details that, were missing or different. And I
Oh,
think that's
yeah.
because you can like look at it and see what was missing to kind of clarify those details.
Yeah. Was it the interpretation of the details was different or?
I feel like just from my side, like explaining the lack of providing the details because
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what was missing at that point because I didn't know what was there.
Gotcha.
because-
That makes
because of
sense. Yeah.
Communication.
And then I'm ask follow-up questions. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed. Yeah, I drew, so I'm not allowed to ask follow-up questions. So it is frustrating.
Right. Yeah.
I ask a ton of questions at work. So I
Yeah.
have to say, you know what?
So you don't need this talk at all, probably.
I-
You're always asking questions.
I do ask a lot of questions.
Yeah,
it did
that's
come
good.
up actually in my last one-on-one. So yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I drew and I had a preconceived like idea of what the house should be, and I was just waiting for like more details about the actual house on there. So I just kind of went with this image in my head,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
waiting for like more details about to draw like the actual house.
Like the frame
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. Did the two of yours turn out similar since you were getting the same directions?
I think his is closer to the description
Yeah.
than mine.
No, like the thing I was getting started about it was just the order because like then we had to draw like trash cans in front of it, but by the time
Oh,
they were
yeah.
already detailed, so so now
Yeah. Awesome. Adrian? I don't know your name, sorry.
Dudes, thoughts?
I mean, it was fun, and there was a point where he said, draw a door, but he
Mhm.
wasn't specific about where it should be. So, creative license was taken.
Yeah. Was it attached to the house?
It reminded me a lot of the kids making peanut butter. They describe like how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes. So he did a good job, I think.
Awesome. You too. Carter was giving really detailed description, but so you did a good job.
Ours was great. It was
Yeah.
like I was trying to think through those things of what I'd like on a house too, and I'm also
Yeah.
a fan of going onto Zillow, so there's that.
Right.
To like really
Going on
hone in
houses.
what I'm envisioning of the house, so I
Mhm.
could give a pretty detailed
Yeah.
walkthrough. The details like, can you do this? And then you even heard me say, like at one point I asked for sconces, and I was like appropriately spaced, right? Like
Yeah.
I want 3 just side by side
Yeah.
on the side of the house or something, right? Like don't
So
be crazy.
Justin is a really good drawer, so
Yeah, there's
it
that too.
turned out great. But cool. Okay. I'm sure you got the point before we even did the exercise, but allowing some time for me to not be blabbing at you. So let's get into some ideas on how to create better common knowledge amongst your teams. The first one, make it visible, and diagrams, prototypes, shared docs, decision logs are all great. But if you have them in a million different places, which we have been guilty of at Shift, then they are not visible. So having one folder, or maybe it's one Google Doc that you have, or whatever you have, a Microsoft 360 doc, that has everything about that project in one spot and links to the Figma, links to Jira, links to whatever it is about your project. And then you're pinning that link to that Google Doc in your Slack channel for that project. So if someone is working after hours or at a different time, they can, and have a question, they can refer to that. They can go to your Jira backlog, see the decisions that have been made since the previous time they were on the project, having it all one spot. And then the other thing is, when it comes to AI, like, of course, I had to bring up AI in this presentation. Sorry. I feel like I'm at Tech Summit. That's what Tech Summit. was, sorry if anyone's on the call. So AI, I feel is a big one in terms of it gets to be the wild, wild west real quick if you do not have that governance in place, those standards as a company in place, and not just the big things in terms of like what tools you use and what data you should be putting into those tools, but also here as a company, we use these Claude skills. We have these Claude skills developed for you to be able to use. Or here's our 1.0 code, these features that we have really works in our previous applications that you can use with your AI assisted development. You can start with Claude and then bring these features into that. And this is a repo of all those. So just having those standards, then it ensures that everyone has the same not necessarily velocity, but same efficiency as a team, and that they have access to all the same resources. Yeah, there's no questions.
So my boss at work now told me that it's not an official document until we decide it's an official document.
Oh, that's a good
Meaning
one.
with like AI docs, because they're so proliferate, right? Like you can spin up what looks like a official document in minutes, but it's like, oh, we still have to communicate with the entire organization that this document that we've created is now the source of truth.
Yeah.
So it's not just like using AI, it's what do you do with the artifacts from AI?
Exactly.
How do you use them and how do you validate and make them official and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And what makes them official?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, and then with that, repeating and repeating and repeating, not just saying it, but showing it, similar to the AI doc, making sure that you have it in one spot, you have shown everyone that it's there, you've said it again and again, presented it, whatever it is. One of these things that I've thought about through this presentation is your goals, your priorities, and your decision making, that decision backlog. Creating some kind of convention with your team where every presentation, whether it's a demo or it's a quarterly business review to external stakeholders that aren't a part of the project on a daily basis, has the same first three sides. And that's your goals, if those have changed, if your priorities or timeline have changed, and then what decisions have been made since the last time we spoke. And then that way it's in a document in case that needs to be shared, and you're creating a convention that this is what we go through every single time, and you can expect this. And in the latest document, you can see that to determine what decisions were made from the last time you were part of a conversation. Then creating alignment moments, whether it's stand-ups, kickoffs, retros, these are not necessarily meetings. And this is something that I struggle with sometimes too, but they're alignment mechanisms. Sometimes I have a meeting on my schedule that I think could have been an email, but inevitably I have that meeting and something comes up that I didn't realize that we weren't on the same page about, or that we needed to discuss. So having those rituals in place seems like a duh, but ensuring that we're meeting on a daily basis to create better alignment moments, whether it's with your team or, as I said before, a monthly review with stakeholders or a quarterly business review with those stakeholders, having the same rituals and the same conventions for those. One thing at our organization, we all, for the most part, have stand up at 9:45 every day. So every project team has stand up at the exact same time. If I need to, I'm not a part of those stand ups, but if I need to tell a team something or get their feedback on something, I know where to go. I know whose calendar to look at, what Zoom channel to be in order to do that. And that's a great convention to have. And then the other thing is, just for one thing we also do is creating videos of our demos or of those larger stakeholder presentations. If someone is not there, ensuring that there's a video they can go back and watch. And then, which is a great first piece, but you also have to make sure they watched it and ask for feedback and ask them, ensure that all the stakeholders have a voice and we're able to see it, and then ensure alignment that way in case they wanted to change based on what they saw. This one is the biggest for me, but it is also the hardest. So normalizing clarification, positioning this as a strength and not a weakness within your organization. So encouraging people, can we restate the goal? Does this feature or this change align with the overarching goal that we had set at the beginning and the intent of that? What key decisions at the end of every meeting, saying what key decisions we made during this meeting and what are the next steps that we all have. AI is great at a lot of things, but it can get real noisy, like with the documents. So the AI generated recaps, I will admit that I don't always read because there's a lot in there. They're very verbose. And what I need to know is this is the next steps. This is what I was assigned. This is what I'm supposed to do. And stating that at the end of every conversation can ensure alignment, because if you say something and Carter's like, no, Mackenzie, that's not what I was going to do, then we know and have that conversation in real time. And then I said this previously, but calling out the elephant in the room, it's sometimes I'm too good at this or too obnoxious about this, but ensuring that everyone is understanding the same thing. And if you see someone's face gloss over or not necessarily understanding it, ask them, do you have a question? Is there something that we should discuss further? And repeating it back, making sure that everyone understands, especially when it's a very important decision, repeating it back to each other just to ensure that you're aligned, because there's inevitably nuances as part of every decision that people understand differently, and leaving that conversation could get you in trouble. So what I'm going to leave you with today, high performing teams don't just share information, they build common knowledge. They build safe places that aren't hierarchies that have different knowledge than other people. They don't use that private knowledge as a power tool. And they create safe places to be able to ask questions and get better aligned. So there are a few resources I can send out after or something. I don't know how you do this, but one is Steven Pinker's book, the When Everyone Knows That Everyone Knows, which is about all about common knowledge. And then him on Armchair Expert, if you just want the TLDR. And then that stat was from a larger report called Poor Communication Leads to Project Failure 1/3 of the time. Okay, questions, thoughts, any other ideas when it comes to common knowledge that you want to share? Do it.
I loved how you asked about restating the goal. There have been a number of meetings that I've been a part of where it's like, are we on the same page? Because I'm not sure we are. So I even employed this with people where I would say, what I'm hearing is I need to do this. So I would walk away like clear that Carter is taking care of whatever these things are.
Yeah.
I think that's a underutilized talent because you can leave with still misunderstanding or misalignment.
Right.
But be on the same page unless you ask them back.
Yeah.
I also loved how you said that the glazed over face, like ask people to explain it to you. Ask if you know. Like, am I understanding this correctly? Can you tell me it?
Yeah.
Because then you both can find the shared understanding when you work through your thoughts, and whoever told it might be on a different page too, so you can come back to them.
Yeah.
I thought it was great, Mackenzie. Yeah, a lot of
I
good.
do think that's easier said than done, like for people like you and me, because we're used to being the dumbest person in the room. We're not, not that you are, but like, I'm just saying, like, we're not the developers. And so we're like, I don't get it. Like, it's definitely easier for us. And I recognize that, but it takes practice and doing that, realizing that, okay, people are not going to shit on you if you ask a dumb question. You know, people for the most part are are nice and approachable. But yeah, I think that it takes talent, and it also takes, or not talent, takes repetition, but it also takes seeing someone else do that. And so as leaders in your organizations, I think that's something that you can start to, or if you do that already, it sounds like you ask a lot of questions already. That's good behavior for other people to mirror.
So like two things. One is
alignment doesn't always mean agreement. And so sometimes you end up in situations where it's like everyone has the same shared knowledge, but two people disagree about how that should play out.
Mm-hmm.
And then similarly, you have what I would call weaponized incompetence, where people misunderstand on purpose so that they don't have to do the thing that they're supposed to do, because then they can just plead, well, I didn't know. And I've encountered both of those in previous, like in companies I've worked with in the past. So
also with the weaponized incompetence, like the misremembering, I feel like is a big one too. Like people can casually forget as well, which is becoming more difficult with AI and transcripts and notes, because you have all of that to come back to. But I think you're right that misalignment doesn't, or alignment doesn't mean agreement, which could be a whole nother talk about how you reach decisions and decision matrices and all that. But yes, I agree.
I was going to throw this out there too.
Yeah.
In terms of the, I don't remember how you phrase this, but for understanding your goals, parties, and decisions, that in itself is a good framework for just a pairing session. Just understanding what we're here to accomplish, and how we are going to work through these decisions, and then figure that out, and then repeating that and understanding that is really important when I pair with somebody for like 5 hours on very complicated things, like in order to ensure that we don't get off track or do something completely wrong. It's good to just go back to these core tenets.
Yeah, I like that. And then bringing that back to the product owner, what decisions you made as you were pairing.
Regarding the alignment agreement, that's okay to have alignment and not agree, right? But not okay to have agreement and not alignment. So like if I leave a meeting and I disagree with you, but we know what we have to do, we know the next steps, that's okay. But if we agree on something and we don't have alignment, like, oh, here's the things that we're supposed to build, but I build my thing this way and you build it that way, there's a misalignment.
Right.
And that's trouble.
Yeah, or if you're just smoothing it over too, like really?
What the take on this is, honestly, is because what I've seen in a previous company, when I was working for MEPCOM, we would have people would disagree about things to create gridlock, because people realized if there was gridlock, they didn't actually have to do anything. And so they would create intentional gridlock by being understanding what they're supposed to do, but disagreeing about details on it. And then there became this cycle of, well, we have to get everybody aligned, so we need to have another meeting, but everybody can't have a meeting for 3 more days. So everyone gets to sit around and do nothing for 3 more days while we wait until we get alignment on what was happening. And I was there 3 years, and I would say that was the status quo there. So I'm curious, like, have you encountered that, and how do you?
No, it sounds like someone needs to get fired.
Kind of sounds like there's underpinning issues that need to be resolved in that one. That has less to do with this.
Or like move the team members around.
You agree or not?
Right.
We're building this thing, right? Like,
and that's when it
enough of the like gatekeeping, right?
I mean, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I wish in the meeting of 35 people with
where the words, I know what you're doing here.
Right. Yeah.
By everybody.
Yeah. And that's when I never know how to say it. RACI chart comes in handy, because then it's like, okay, this person is responsible. This person is actually making the decision. Like you can get to those decisions faster, but yeah. But you need someone to do that and hold people to it.
And any other questions that anyone would like to, or thoughts maybe? No. All right, y'all. Well,
I have a question for you. How did you get good at asking questions in your meetings? Like, were you always that way, or did it take time? Or
I would say, I used to work hotel front desk, and I just remember even from those days, I don't know if it was one of those management type articles or something, but it's always over communicate, especially with your like immediate boss. And I think that's pretty much what I've done, or at least I still think of that word, over communicate, because it's just, you don't know what's going on in someone's head. You don't know what they're thinking of. You don't know, or we can have separate visions that are not necessarily aligned or whatever, you know what I mean? Can be small nuances. Yeah, even at the current job, sometimes, I see something and there's a problem and it came up somewhere else. And, maybe my boss has visibility into
Right.
that, but I don't, and it's, it can kind of smooth things over a little bit, and, direct things more productively. But I do like communication too, and I like, it's just to get a clearer picture. The more follow-up questions I can ask, the better. The more access to stakeholders or whoever is to follow up. If I can't get an answer, I'll come up with something, but the more disconnected, a day, a week, it might not be what you wanted. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah. I was curious. Humans are interesting.
I do think that's good evidence that probably everybody should, at least at one point in their life, have experience in a service industry job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why when I'm interviewing people, I ask what their high school job was sometimes, because it says a lot about a person.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think we can probably end it there. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Thanks again for coming out. We'll see you next month. And we actually do know who our speaker is next month. I don't know, Ben, if you have it off the top of your head, because I do not. Okay.
Next month, Finley Blakeman, who's at Lean Techniques, is going to be speaking on accessibility.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, we haven't had an accessibility talk in a long time, to tell you the truth, so that'll be really nice. All right, y'all. Thank you much for coming out. Please eat some pizza. See you next time.